In the late 90s and early 2000s, the Colorado Avalanche were one of the best teams in the NHL, winning Stanley Cups in 1996 and 2001 and going to the conference finals an additional 4 times from 96 to 02, and the run they had can speak for itself. In the last decade or so, the Avalanche have been a very up and down franchise, going from playoff bursts and great seasons to last place in their division. And with this being the case, Colorado has been able to pick near the top of the draft a few times, and some of their selections have made some of those losing seasons very worthwhile. Past the halfway point of the NHL season, the Avs are currently the odds-on favorite to win the Stanley Cup and have been since even before the season began. Their .779 win percentage is currently tops in the league through 43 games. They have the second best goal differential at +55, and they have a ridiculous 22-1 record at home. They also have some of the most exciting players in hockey and are an incredibly fun team to watch. So here's how they built this wagon of a team. In the 2009 draft, the Avs would select 3 players that would end up having a huge impact on the future of their team. In the first round, they'd select Matt Duchene with the 3rd overall pick. In the second round, they got Ryan O'Reilly with the 33rd pick. And then in the 3rd round, they picked up defenseman Tyson Barrie with the 64th selection. Each of these players would play multiple seasons with Colorado, would develop into stars in the league, but for whatever reason did not fit in perfectly with what the Avalanche were trying to build. The Avalanche would make the playoffs during the 2009-10 season, getting contributions from rookies Matt Duchene and even Ryan O'Reilly, but they would end up losing in the quarterfinals and would then go on to miss the playoffs each of the next 3 years. In the 2011 entry draft, the Avalanche were granted the 2nd overall pick and would end up selecting their future captain, Swedish forward Gabriel Landeskog, who is of course still a huge piece on their team today. In the 2012 draft, the Avs were without a first-round pick because they traded it to the Washington Capitals during the offseason for goaltender Semyon Varlamov. Although things didn't quite work out with Varlamov in Colorado, the next year they would have a rough season, finish last in their division, and would end up with the number 1 overall pick in the 2013 NHL entry draft. They would use this pick to select the young phenom Nathan MacKinnon, who has developed into one of the very best players in the game today. The next year, MacKinnon would help his team get to the playoffs in his rookie year, alongside new head coach Patrick Waugh and other young guns Matt Duchene, Gabe Landeskog, Ryan O'Reilly, and Tyson Barrie. Unfortunately, the team would lose in the first round in 7 games. The team would then miss the playoffs each of the next 2 years, would end up firing Patrick Waugh, and Nate MacKinnon would take a surprising big step back points-wise each of the next 3 seasons. It became apparent that something had to change in that locker room, and that some of the young players weren't meshing together quite as nicely as the organization had hoped. In the 2015 offseason, the Avs would trade center Ryan O'Reilly along with Jamie McGinn to Buffalo in exchange for Nikita Zadorov, Mikhail Grigorenko, JT Compher, and a 2nd-round pick. Compher is still a solid depth player in the Avs lineup right now, and they eventually traded Zadorov for Brandon Saad, who played 1 season with Colorado before signing with St. Louis in free agency. In the 2015 draft, the Avalanche would also pick up one of their biggest pieces as well, winger Mikko Rantanen at 10th overall, who is one of the best power forwards in the league right now. In the 2016 draft, Colorado would again pick 10th overall and got center Tyson Jost, who hasn't panned out exactly as they may have hoped, but is still a depth contributor in the lineup. In the 2017-18 season, the Avs made some of their best moves yet. They would trade Kyle Turris to Nashville, picking up young puck-moving D-man Samuel Girard as well as a prospect and pick. And in the same 3-team trade, they would ship off another center, Matt Duchene, to the Ottawa Senators. In exchange, the Avs would pick up Shane Bowers, Andrew Hammond, and a 2018 conditional first-round pick, which would end up turning into a 4th overall pick in the 2019 draft, a huge fumble on part of the Senators. In the 2017 draft, the Avs would also select 4th overall and picked up defenseman Cale Makar, who is arguably now the best defenseman in the league and will likely go down as the best player out of that 2017 draft class. In the 2018 draft, Colorado would pick up 3 notable prospects in the first 3 rounds, but more importantly, the team was starting to come together. And with the new head coach Jared Bednar still in the mix, the Avs made the playoffs in 2017-18 and 2018-19. And maybe most importantly, Nathan MacKinnon finally had his breakout season, putting up 97 points in 74 games, and finishing as the runner-up for the Hart Trophy. And he hasn't looked back since. In the 2019 draft, the Avs used their 4th overall pick from Ottawa to take defenseman Bowen Byram, who should be a huge part of the future for Colorado when he can hopefully recover from his concussion-related injuries. They also took Alex Newhook, 16th overall, who is a solid young winger in the lineup for the team. And the Avs have continued to make smart moves over the past couple seasons, picking up guys like Andrei Burakovsky and Devon Taves through trades. On July 1st, 2019, they also made a huge move, trading away defenseman Tyson Barrie and Alex Kerfoot to Toronto for center Nazem Kadri, a prospect, and a pick. Kadri was solid in his first 2 years with Colorado, but this year he has had one of the best seasons of anyone in the league. He's currently tied for 3rd in NHL scoring with Connor McDavid through 40 games, each of them with 59 points. And if he can keep anything close to that pace through the rest of the season and playoffs, then man does he make that team even more dangerous. After letting go of goaltender Philip Grubauer to free agency this offseason, the Avs traded for Darcy Kemper for a prospect, first-round pick, and conditional 3rd in 2024. They also have former free agent signing Pavel Francouz to help out, who has been fantastic in the NHL since coming over from the KHL. As you can see, the Colorado Avalanche have built an amazing team, one that has virtually no weaknesses, and one that is set up to win cups now and for the next several years. Obviously, this group hasn't won anything just yet, but they are poised to go on a lengthy run this year and will not be an easy out for any team that may face them. With many of their top players either in their prime or heading towards it, this team is going to be extremely fun to watch over the next several years and have the potential to become a dynasty if they can stick together, continue to grow, and stay healthy. Make sure to let me know what you think of the Avs down in the comments, and thank you guys so much for watching.